Let's begin with Biden's economic speech. I'm not going to blame him for it all. I'm not going to blame everything on him for gas, food, rent, all that. But you'd have to think he was living in a different country with this cheery nonsense. In front of the AFL-CIO today, big union man Joe Biden spoke at the AFL-CIO. Colin, let's play clip number 1.
That's the approach I've taken to build this economy. And what has to be done? Well, we brought down COVID deaths by 90%. We opened schools and businesses that were shuttered. It all created the greatest job recovery in American history. People don't want to talk about these days, but it's true. Since I've become president, we've created 8.7 million new jobs in 16 months, an all-time record. And even last month, 390,000 jobs and 600,000 new manufacturing jobs. They said manufacturing is dead in America. Look, folks, our unemployment rate is near historic lows, 3.7%. And millions of Americans are leaving. I love these guys talking about why these guy left my employment, went to another job. Because he got paid more. Isn't that awful? Isn't that a shame that they got to compete for labor? Better paying jobs, for better jobs for them and their families. It's been a long time since that's happened in this country, but it's happening now, and it's working. Since I took office, to your help, families are carrying less debt nationwide. They have more savings nationwide. More Americans applied for new small businesses last year than ever before in American history. 5.4 million new small business applications. Jobs and companies are coming home again. We're making Buy American a reality, not just a slogan.
Steve, I don't know where to start. This kind of reminds me of Obama talking about the record number of jobs he made, as you know, that just sea of foreclosure signs were coming all over the country. He was talking about how wages are up, which peripherally they have been. But when you take into account inflation, real wages are actually plunging at a record rate as cost of living crisis takes hold. Bankers toast huge bonuses, an average pay rise of 10.6% as nurses and teachers see value of earnings fall sharply. Your thoughts on the rosy picture from the president?
Well, you know, this rosy picture from the president, somebody said it in the chat. It was really great, actually. I'd love to pull it up. The fact is that when you're in the middle of a pandemic and you come out of a pandemic after millions of people lost their jobs during a pandemic, and suddenly you're taking credit for the people coming back to work, it's I don't know, it's typical vote blue no matter who Biden right there, right? But it also comes down to something more fundamental. We have not talked about real economics in this country pretty much ever. Most of the media outlets out there are so clueless about economics that they don't have the ability to take a position on things. They don't have the ability to slice through the bullshit. So they just let these people just say whatever they want, uncontested, just absolutely without any pushback whatsoever. It's alternative media, it's mainstream media, it's media everywhere. So when a guy like Biden speaks like this, you have nothing to judge from other than your heart. And feelings lie to you. You have a bad bowl of spaghetti the night before, suddenly you got gas the next day. So that's not a way to judge the economy. You got to have an understanding. Biden, what he has done, number one, is lied big time, because all these jobs coming back are shit jobs, number one. And the jobs that are coming back right now, the pay is not keeping up with the inflation. He has done nothing to quell inflation whatsoever, because he's a free market guy that believes in free market solutions. And just like Buttigieg and the rest of the gang, will do absolutely nothing to curtail the behavior of monopoly powers, abusive market powers, none of that crap. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to fund enforcement. They're not going to put any price caps. They're not going to do anything. They're not going to provide a job guarantee. And the money that most people got had nothing to do with Biden, because Biden couldn't even deliver on his $2,000 checks. He lied about that too. I hate to thank Trump, but the Trump era gave more money during the pandemic than Biden did. So with all that said and done, naturally, people are locked in their houses. They haven't spent anything. So what do they do with the bit of money that they are getting? Maybe they did pay down some debt. Maybe they did go ahead and protect themselves from the next time the Democrats decide to go and raise interest rates and raise taxes and do all the other crap that kills an economy. So it wouldn't shock me at all if Biden went around trumpeting, hey, the sun rose today. That's about the equivalent of what he's celebrating right here. And bringing jobs back to America, bringing the manufacturing jobs back to America, that's nothing to celebrate either. What we're talking about here is a fundamental issue of they cut off Russia. They've completely taken away any global perspective, which is fine. I don't mind that. But don't act like you did something great here. What you did was you created a proxy war, a Cold War, to make it so that we had to bring some of the manufacturing back. What you realized was the neoliberal way of spreading your supply chains throughout the world didn't work. And so now you're having to bring some vital manufacturing back home. Okay, so all this stuff is him taking credit for it. Number one is shameful. Number two, acting like it's a good economy is even more shameful. Okay, so Jordan, we have got a problem in this country, and it's economic illiteracy. The vote blues are going to cheer Biden on like he's the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ, who has just gotten off the cross himself to go ahead and bless the sinners. He is literally an unabashed asshole. And this is what you get. I mean, for real, this is pathetic. The gas prices are not really his fault. That's one thing I will tell you. It's not really his fault. But their free market mindset is their fault. He has done absolutely nothing to quell the gouging that's going on, and he's done really nothing meaningful to build back better, if you will, the infrastructure that would have solved the supply chain issues domestically. He's next to Jimmy Carter, and we can get into that some other time. He may be the worst president of my lifetime.
Now, I don't want you to go too far because we have other clips to play. So if I let you go,
I'll go, man. I could do 3 hours straight on, man. You know,
we have some other clips because it gets worse, including his deficit diarrhea, which is the most animated I even saw him got. Everything else, he was kind of just talking, reading a script. When he talks about the deficit, his eyes light up like he's on, It's a Small World ride in Disney World.
And by the way, Republicans like to portray me as some kind of big spender. We have spent a lot of money. But let's compare the facts. Under my predecessor, the deficit exploded, rising every single year, and all of the benefit going to the top 1%, basically. Under my plan, last year, we cut the deficit by $350 billion. Doing all this. You know, they talk about Biden wants to spend more on schools and all this. Guess what? He's going to create a deficit. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, by the end of the fiscal year, we will have cut the federal deficit by another $1.6 trillion in 1 year. 1 year. So when they come to you and talk about big spenders, let them know. Almost $2 trillion in deficit reduction. I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives. And because of the facts, this year, we're delivering the biggest drop in deficit in the history of the United States of America.
Oh my God, look how excited he got.
But worse, there's human beings that fucking clap for that horrific shit.
Actually, the deficit thing got the least clap of anything. They didn't really care. But it's interesting. Look how fierce he was against the Republicans there and animated, and it actually sounded lucid and good. Imagine if he got that fucking fierce and angry at Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, demanding that they vote to end the filibuster. He's not going to do it. But imagine for a second if he got that fierce against the Senate parliamentarian, Sinema and Manchin, anyone in his way to help those union folk. But he doesn't because his donors won't allow it. Steve, before we before we respond to that, Colin put this together. There's probably more examples, but we got 30 seconds. Suddenly, he's saying, enough with you people calling me a big spender. He had a much different tune during the primary. You remember this?
How are we going to pay for it? I want to hear tonight how that's happened. You can't run for president and beat Donald Trump without leveling with the American people what you're going to do and how you're going to pay for it. I know how to get it done, to go out and pass it, and I know how to cover it. If you notice, some of our opponents or good people are struggling to tell you how in God's name they're going to pay for anything.
Was that trying to set me up? Were you trying to set me up there for like a haymaker? Elbow off the top rope?
To hell with you, Republicans. We're changing people's lives. I don't know how. Colin showed the chart. Whose lives are being changed? We have a 40-year bank robbery. Income inequality is out of control. This is the U.S. compared to Europe and Western Europe. But whose lives are we changing? The ones who got evicted during the pandemic, even despite the moratorium, which I showed on the ground, people were getting evicted, or the people being evicted now, or the homeless people being swept up in New York City, D.C., L.A., Chicago, Washington. I mean, the list goes on and on. The people who literally are spending $100 for gas. I mean, whose lives are being changed right now? But my question to you is simple. I mean, does he actually believe that the economy is good right now? Or is this just Joe being Joe? Let's, say lunch, say my daddy told me a job is dignity, sell it. Or, because if he actually believes this, then we're in deep trouble.
I asked Warren Mosler the other day, I said, do you think Joe Biden is doing a good job? And he laughed and he said, for who? Doing a good job for who? Right? And when you think about this, the rank and file voter thinks deficit reduction is a good thing. And so whenever you tell a truth to someone that doesn't understand what you're saying, they get angry. There are people that get angry at me for an awful lot of things that are just simply unknowledgeable about the subject. So when you talk about this, I mean, you see Biden up there. He knows the average person is thinking about their own bank account, thinking about, oh my God, he's saving me my tax money so that I don't have to, scrape and scrounge, for food. He's selling a lie. But if you go, there's a great study about austerity is social murder. Okay. Now I want you to understand something. When I heard him talking about that, I felt like I was watching him drop babies into boiling water and celebrating it, because that's what austerity is. It's murder. Okay. Social murder. And for people that don't get this stuff, they get upset. Trust me, the problem is not mine. The problem is that you don't understand what I'm saying. And I'm here to tell you the deficit, reducing the deficit, is a bona fide fiscally conservative, anti-progressive murder zone. It is the kill shot. It's the financial bullet that nobody accepts as murder, but it is absolutely murder. And for those people out there who don't understand this stuff, I beseech you, I beg you, I plead with you. Learn that Joe Biden and his ilk and those who wish to reduce the deficit, those who celebrate deficit reduction, are not your friend. I don't care if you're a vote blue. I don't care if you wear the party colors, wear the pork pie hat and celebrate and wave flags and pom-poms. I'm telling you, when you hear deficit reduction, it is like literally dropping poor babies into a vat of hot oil. That is not a good thing. It is not a good thing for a country, for any country that issues its own currency, to celebrate the reduction of deficits. That is real money out of the economy, deleted, not repurposed, not saved up for a rainy day to spend. This is literally deleted money, taking money out of the economy. So they're getting you on two ends. They're raising interest rates, which I know we're going to talk about later, which is taking more money out of your pocket and giving it to the rich, while simultaneously reducing deficits, which takes away real money from you and I. So we're getting hit on both ends. And swear to God, there's people out there right now celebrating this stuff, acting like I don't know what I'm talking about. And I'm here to tell you folks, you got to get on this program. You got to learn that man just broke out an AR-15 right now, monetary style, and is opening aim on all of us. This is not a good thing. Do not ever celebrate this.
Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern time.